If you're spending $50,000 or $100,000 a year on marketing, you need to have a CRM. It makes zero sense. It's like telling your investment broker, here's $100,000. Don't tell me what happens to my investment. I don't care if I make money or not. I'm just going to give you the money, right? No sane person would say that to an investor, yet that happens in the world of marketing. So if you're spending more than $50,000 a year, you definitely need to have a CRM to manage all those leads for your sales team. I think the other thing is if you have a sales team, even if it's 2 or 3 people, you need to give them the tools to succeed, right? A salesperson is only as good as the resources they have, right? We both know that, Jay. And so if you're not giving them the tools to succeed, they're definitely not going to be able to perform at the level that you would want them to perform at.
Back to the Winner Circle podcast, the show where we unpack the strategies and the tools that help you win in business and in life. As you already know, I'm your host, Jay Adewole, and today's episode is one you don't want to miss. So we all know attracting new customer is very vital. But what's even more powerful is keeping the ones you already have. And that's what I always say. Now, the market we have right now is flooded with options. Loyalty has become the ultimate currency. So the big question is, how do you nurture that loyalty consistently and intelligently? Today, somebody's here to help us break down this topic. We have invited a powerhouse in the world of CRM and marketing automation, Kramer. Jason is the founder of Cultivize, a CRM and automation consultancy helping businesses streamline customer communication and boost retention through smart, scalable, I would say a perfect system. And his proven strategies have helped countless brands increase upsell and build long-term, meaningful relationship with their customers. So I want you to get ready, winners, because Jason is about to show us how to turn casual buyers into a loyal fan. So we're going to dive in. Welcome, Jason.
Thanks, Jay. Happy to be here. Appreciate the
All
invite.
right, good to see you.
Yeah,
All
good
right,
to
you're
see you
welcome.
too.
All right, I love your top. You're looking all nice.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I
Uh,
was complimenting you before we went live on the suit. The lapels look really,
yeah, thank you.
really flashy.
Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah,
Or
it goes with your whole ambiance in a very, in the scene there.
yeah, I'm
We got to
already
look the
used to the
part,
corporate
right?
world.
We got to look the part.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
gotta look the part exactly. So to start off, can you share what inspired you to focus on CRM and customer retention in the first place?
Yeah, Jay, it's a great question. So I came from about 20 years in marketing. I was a graphic designer, right? Building websites, designing things from, global brands to local brands. And what I started to notice when I was talking to clients as we were doing marketing and other things for these different various size businesses, small and large, was that they weren't tracking what was happening after they would get a lead, right? So they would spend money on Google AdWords, on Facebook, they would go to trade shows, do webinars, do all these different things, even referrals, right? Go to like a networking group, but they didn't really have a very clear path to say, this is how many leads we got from here and there versus how much revenue do we actually generate? And were they even good leads, right? Because quality is better than quantity. And so that's why I started Cultivize to focus specifically on helping companies identify, nurture, and convert their leads into not only great customers, but into customers that are going to drive revenue for their business.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah. I was gonna look at this in this other way from what you just said right now. Why do you think, in your own experience, why do you think a lot of businesses they often overlook retention and their strategy is always in favor of constant new customer acquisition? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think because they don't have the systems and they don't have the tools, right? And a lot of companies will, and especially sometimes sales managers that are not perhaps, dare I say, like organized and have a clear approach, they just want to see a lot at the top of the funnel. They want make 50 phone calls today, get this many leads in, right? They just want to keep filling at the top, but they're filling with a lot of times with garbage, with people that they can't get on the phone with, be people that aren't responding to an email, they're not responding to messages on LinkedIn. And so what are they really doing? They're really not doing anything but positive for them or for their team. And so I think it's because of this fear that if they don't have the top of the funnel filled, like there are people that reach out to me, Jay, and they're like, I can give you 5,000 leads today. I'm like, what am I going to do with 5,000 leads? I can't call 5,000 people even in this month, right? Give me two people that are ready to sign today. That's great. Or give me 10 really high qualified leads. I'd rather have 10 qualified than 5,000, bogus, garbage quality leads. And I think that's really the issue, is that they are approaching it from a different mindset, that volume and quantity is better than quality.
Hello and welcome back. You guys, the listeners, are my powerhouse. So I have something I want to discuss with you guys today. But before we dive into today's episode, I want to shine a spotlight on an incredible opportunity that could revolutionize the way you approach your business. So now the question is, are you ready to take your business to the next level? Whether you're an entrepreneur, a leader, or a team member striving for excellence, I want to say Point of View Consulting in New York is your partner in strategic transformation. Whether you are in Texas or you are in whatever the city you are in, so far you're in the United States, they are helping businesses transform their business. So they are not just a consulting firm, they are your catalyst for change, a coaching powerhouse, and a branding leader, all rolled into one. At Point of View Consulting, their services include strategic consulting, executive coaching, brand development, and performance optimization. And one interesting thing about this brand, Point of View Consulting, is right now they're offering an exclusive free consultation just for you. Now, this is your own chance to gain invaluable insight at no cost. Plus, when you decide to move forward with any services, just use the promo code Winner Circle Podcast to receive a hefty 30% discount on your services fee. It's simple. Imagine the transformation you could achieve with an expert guidance and a fresh perspective. So don't let this opportunity pass you by. I want you to visit www.pointofviewconsultinginc.com. So that is Point of View Consulting NC.com today to book your complimentary consultation and embark on a journey of growth and success. Now, let's get back to the show. Quality is better than quantity. A
Quality
lot
is
of
better than
people,
quantity.
yes, quality is very important. Way better than quantity. You can have 5,000 leads and it leads nowhere. But you can have like 2 leads, just like you said, is they're going to bring in the main businesses. So now, when we got started, we just jumped into the conversation without doing a little bit of intro to what CRM is. So for the listeners who are not very familiar with CRM, can you explain what CRM really is beyond just having, because a lot of people just think CRM is all about having a contact list. What is CRM and how it directly impacts customer loyalty?
Okay, so my definition of a CRM would be three main components. So, component one would be a place to store your leads, your existing customers, strategic partners, vendors, all the people that are in your world in an organized way, right? So, being able to silo those, to assign lead owners, to have places to put information about those people, and to really have it all organized. And it's not just information about the person. A CRM should also have a place to put information about the account. There are a lot of companies that we work with, that I'm sure you work with, Jay, that do more account-based marketing, right? So they're selling into companies. So you need that information. The second piece is there has to be a sales component to the CRM. There has to be a pipeline, a visual dashboard where you could actually track your sales going from one stage to another. There has to be sales reporting. There has to be tools in there to help the sales team succeed, right? You can't expect a contractor to build a house with one hammer and one nail and one piece of wood. It's just not going to work, right? Same way you need to have the sales team equipped with the right tools. The third piece is email marketing, right? A lot of companies will have like a Salesforce or some, or NetSuite or even a spreadsheet maybe managing their sales and their contacts, but then they're using another tool for email marketing. And none of the data about email marketing is going back into the CRM. They don't know who's opening up emails, who's visiting the website, who's engaging. And so therefore that segmented data serves no purpose, right? You can't get any value. So in my definition, that would be a CRM: email marketing, sales tools, and a place to store contacts and accounts. There are lots of tools out there that tout themselves as a CRM. A lot of them are really project management systems, like Monday, for example. I'm going a little bit expanded, but I think it's important for your listeners to know Monday, people say, oh, yeah, I'm thinking about Monday for my CRM. Monday is a project management tool. It's not a CRM by definition. They say it's a CRM, but it's really not. And so you have to be careful, which we could talk more about as we go in, about what to stay away from and what to really look for to know, is it truly a CRM, or is it something that's, just a piece of software trying to sell you something that you may or may not need?
All right, thank you so much. So I know you've helped a lot of companies, a lot of businesses set up upsell triggers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've done that. How those work in practice?
So the best thing I can say is that every business is going to have a different way of selling, right? So some businesses need to meet face to face, some can sell over the phone via a website, some there's a combination. And so any type of what I would call like a lead nurturing strategy, by the way, Jay, and we'll mention at at the end of the show, but if your listeners go to afterthelead.com, there's a lot of free resources there for your listeners. One of them is what we call the lead nurturing blueprint. And it's a free download, and it takes you through the step-by-step process that I'm about to explain part of right now. And so the automation piece, first of all, you have to have technology, a piece of software that can do the automation, right? That's the first step. If you don't have that, you're not going to be able to automate a lead nurturing sequence. What I would typically recommend is look at how long your sales cycle is. So if you say me, Jason, my sales cycle is a year, right? I would say at a minimum, you want to have a touch point once a month, right? Over the course of a year. Now, those touch points may not just be an email. Email might go out in month one, in month two, or maybe 3 weeks in. There's a task created in the CRM to send out an invite on LinkedIn. Maybe there's a task a few weeks later to send out a phone call, right? Make a phone call to the person. Maybe there's a task in there to look what they're doing online. Maybe it's commenting on something they're posting, right? And start engaging with them in their content. And so the cadence is very unique and different for every business. But at the end of the day, the fundamental thing is these emails and these outreaches, even though we're selling, Jay, we really don't want to come across as selling. We want to come across as being helpful and educational. And so the email shouldn't say, hey, Jay, when can we get on a call? When do you want to see a demo? When are you ready to sign? It should say, hey, I was thinking about, you, or I was thinking about, I noticed this with the company, something specific. Here's an article I thought you might find useful. Or here's a tool that I thought you might help you, right? Because at the end of the day, if you are in the position to buy, right, and you're the receiver of this drip campaign, you're trying to gather information. And who are you most likely to buy from? The person that has educated you the most and is not pressuring you to buy, but is informing you to say, whether you work for me or not, here's information that's going to be really helpful for you. That builds trust. And that's really what the whole name of the game is with the nurturing, is to build trust and comfort. So when they are ready to buy, they would buy from your company. Yeah. The other thing I would just quickly add to that, Jay, is that because you mentioned before about the mindset of like the sales organizations, right? At a small company, even too, it happens. And you're focusing on who's ready to buy now, right? Like Jason isn't ready to go, David's not ready to go, Mary's not ready to go. If you don't have a plan to follow up with those people, they may eventually buy down the road, but they're not going to buy from you because you just kind of brushed them off. So even if it takes a year, 2 years, sometimes I've had people turn around and come back and buy from us and buy from our clients because we're constantly in front of them, right? And that's what is really important to understand. Because what you asked me for, Jay, was really a great question. Why did I start this? I started it because people spend money on lead gen. They spend money on advertising. So what good is it to you, right, as a business owner or on the sales side of an organization or even on the marketing side, to spend all this time and effort and money to generate a lead, and then you're not going to follow up with that lead, right? You really might as well just burn the money in the backyard, right? Because what's the point of doing that if you don't have a plan to nurture them?
All right. As an expert in this field, in this particular field, if you look at a business, what are some of the biggest signs that you see to know that a business is leaking customers without even realizing it? A lot of businesses are leaking customers, they are losing customers, they don't even know they're losing it.
Yeah. Can I actually share my screen real quick to answer that question and show you something? Would that be okay? Yeah. Let's see if that works here. It'll be really quick, I promise. All right. So you can see my screen here, Jay? You can see the screen now, right? Okay, I think you can. So I'm just gonna go through this quick example here. So let's say a company might spend $2,500 a month. Actually, we'll make the number even smaller. Let's say 1,500 a month on advertising to grow leads. Let's say they have a small team. Let's say they only have two salespeople on the team. And let's say, what they're selling is, I'm just gonna give them a number here, it's $10,000. Okay. And let's say they're, with 1,500, maybe they get only 10 leads a month. They're not getting a lot, or maybe we'll say 20. All right. And I hit show my results. What this is going to do is show you the calculation of how a CRM, to answer your question, could actually make an impact on the business. So with a CRM, you could expect 6 new customers per month, over $700,000 in additional business per year, and potentially lower your marketing costs by $3,600. These are the results we typically see for our clients. This is a free tool, which is also on afterthelead.com that your audience can access just to put in their own numbers to see what an impact a CRM can be for their business. It can have a huge impact. I mean, so for those that weren't seeing and they're listening, maybe via audio or they're driving, I mean, a CRM can boost sales by easily by over 25%. And it can even lower your marketing costs by over 30%. So it can have a big impact. But the thing I always say, Jay, is that CRM is a piece of technology. Technology does not solve problems on its own. You need people and strategy and planning to make that happen. And that's what Cultivize, and my team specializes in, is working with our clients to develop a strategy, align business goals, challenges and needs to find the right technology, but then also to actually track the results and make adjustments and improvements. Just like a website, right? It's something that you constantly need to tweak and to edit. It's not something that you can just set up and say, okay, it's done. My CRM is perfect, and I don't have to do anything. It doesn't exist, right? And anybody that says that is lying. So, CRM is always evolving, and you need a CRM consultant that has the understanding of what to look for to make sure that it's going to bring you the results you're looking for.
Thank you. So now let's take a look at this side of it. I just want to confirm, CRM can be used to re-engage inactive customers, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing that do with that though is to make sure you do have some type of email hygiene process in place, right? You don't want to be sending out email campaigns to old customers because those email addresses might be invalid, which actually could have a negative impact on your email, on your website domain. So if you are going to be re-engaging older customers, you definitely want to be cleaning your list through a proper email hygiene tool first, which usually just a few pennies per email address before you to roll out any type of campaign to re-engage them.
All right, thank you. Now, my own view to this again is I'm trying to look at the CRM tool itself, re-engaging, communicating with customers and all that. There are a lot of businesses, even multi-million dollars business, but they're very old kind of business.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a large restaurant, not a chain restaurant, but a large restaurant. They're making millions of dollars a month, or probably somewhere in New York, and they don't see the need of a CRM tool. Like, why do I need CRM? I'm a manual business. My customer knows when to come and all that. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I would say that any business that's north of $5 or $10 million, a year in business, there is definitely going to be things slipping through the cracks. There's no doubt about it. So even though they might be generating money, if they don't have systems in place, and of course they're going to have some systems, even something as simple as like payroll and accounting, right? So they have software for that. They would have to at that level. So I'll give you a quick story. We brought on a roofing company last summer, okay, based in New Hampshire. Right, it's in the U.S. and they do about $7 million a year in business. They do about 1,000 quotes a year, but they're a sales team of only 3 people. Okay, family-run business. And I said to them, I said, listen, there's a lot of people that you talk to that never get back to you, right? Or say, okay, let me think about it. And then the sales team gets busy. They can't follow up because they're too busy to follow up. And so I said, we need to create a nurture campaign to engage these people and to keep in front of them. And so we put that into place. And in less than 6 months, they closed over $750,000 in business as a result of these campaigns, right? That were just reminding them, hey, we sent you a proposal 2 months ago. Have you hired a roofing contractor yet? If not, we'd still love to talk to you, right? And those types of campaigns work when set up correctly. So what I would say to the companies that are 5, 10 million and above, I could guarantee you there's hundreds of thousands of dollars being left on the table because there is no systems in place to pick up those missed opportunities in your sales.
All right. So you talked about a campaign that was run. So what could you say is a great customer retention campaign? What are the key elements? And that's one. Number two, are there businesses that need CRM tool more than others? Which industry do you think needs more of CRM
Mhm.
more, and which industry do you think doesn't really need it as much? I know all industry does need it, but which one is more, which one is less?
So I would say the ones that are more are the ones where the company is spending, I would say, north of $5,000 a month on marketing. If you're spending that much, if you're spending $50,000 or $100,000 a year on marketing, you need to have a CRM. It makes zero sense. It's like telling your investment broker, here's $100,000. Don't tell me what happens to my investment. I don't care if I make money or not. I'm just going to give you the money, right? No sane person would say that to an investor, yet that happens in the world of marketing. So if you're spending more than $50,000 a year, you definitely need to have a CRM to manage all those leads for your sales team. I think the other thing is if you have a sales team, even if it's 2 or 3 people, you need to give them the tools to succeed, right? A salesperson is only as good as the resources they have, right? We both know that, Jay. And so if you're not giving them the tools to succeed, they're definitely not going to be able to perform at the level that you would want them to perform at. And so that's super important, right? Is to give them the right resources to be able to do their job. The people that don't need a CRM as much are the companies that only need maybe 2 or 3 clients a year. Each client is worth $500,000. You don't need a CRM to probably manage, like 50 or 100 leads that you get per year, right? So if your volume is smaller, than a CRM. You may be able to work with just like a spreadsheet or something like that. You may not need a full-on CRM if there's low volume for your business.
All right. So when there's low volume, there's no need for CRM. So
Yeah,
how
I think
about
I
using?
think there should be something. Just to clarify, there should be something. And in fact, there's a tool we built, which is a series of interconnected Google spreadsheets called Profit Path, which is also on afterthelead.com. It's $50 to access these simple spreadsheets, but they're all interconnected to be able to build reporting and to track contacts, track opportunities. So when I say a small company doesn't need a CRM, they need something. It's not like they can just have a piece of paper and a pen. Like they should have something in place, but they may not need a full on, $2,000 a month CRM, tool. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to make sure that was clear.
Yeah, well, that
Yeah,
was clear. I just
yeah,
wanted to confirm that. And there was a question I asked before this particular question as a follow-up. I know I was asking about the key elements of a great customer retention campaign.
yeah.
What are the? Yeah.
So I think it's multifaceted, right? So there has to be multiple touch points. I kind of hit on that a little bit earlier. A good retention program is knowing when to follow up with customers, to use data you have about customers, about buying cycles, about patterns, and to use that information to influence how often the frequency should be to reach out to somebody. But it shouldn't be just email. I mean, you and I are real people, right? We're not. This isn't AI right here. We're human beings talking, having a conversation. Well, human beings want to talk to other human beings. So picking up the phone, having other touch points. If you go to trade shows, if you do webinars, there has to be different ways to connect and to interact with the people you're trying to do business with, or that you already have as existing customers, right? So your existing customers may be happy, and maybe they may not be happy, right? Some of them may not be. You need to find ways to not only keep them happy, but to show value, right? And why you continually bring value to them. And there may be other things you can do, like you've talked before about upselling and cross-selling. Maybe there's other services they can buy from you they don't even know you provide.
All right. Thank you for that brilliant word. So if you're just joining us, today we have Jason Kramer, the founder of Cultivize, telling us, giving us strategies on how to use CRM to better enhance our operations and also to retain customer. So now I want to ask a question. If someone is watching this right now and they're starting from scratch, they're about to get started maybe next week or next 2 months or a month,
Mm-hmm.
what's the very first step they should take today to improve customer retention through CRM?
So the very first thing before we even talk about customer retention, in my mind, is identifying the challenges and the goals within the business, right? So not only within the sales side, but within the marketing side, within the business as a whole. What are those goals? Is it to, get 50 new leads per month? Is it to hit a certain revenue goal? Is it to drive more traffic to a certain part of your website? Is it to get people to attend webinar? Is it to stop having Mary manually download files like CSV export files from one system and manually put them into another system, right? I mean, so you have to identify what are the pain points and the areas that can be improved upon within the organization. That's the very first step. And putting that on paper. It's not just having a conversation. We call it the CRM fit assessment process, which we go through for free with people, Jay. And part of that is to identify these problems within an organization. We can't recommend any solution until we know what the problem is that we're trying to solve and fix. So without a proper plan, you're never going to be successful, in my opinion. So that's the first step, right? That's the very first step. And so today, if you're listening, think about what tools do we have for our business? What software are we using? Who is using that software? How often do we use that software? Are we evaluating how effective that software is for us? That would be one of the first steps. And then talking to different teams, finding out how often are they following up with people? What is their follow-up process? Look at the content. A lot of times, sometimes, unfortunately, salespeople are not good writers, right? Then they're sending out pretty crappy emails to people and they're being too pushy or too salesy. So if you're a sales manager listening, and you're not overseeing and seeing that content, ask your salespeople to send you the emails they've been sending to people recently and read them. And if you were a buyer, would you buy, from your own salesperson? That's where it starts, is evaluating where things are at today and then being able to have a plan going forward from there.
All right. So I know a lot of salespeople, they have like when they send the first email, they have like long story of kind of, the email is very long that, the attention span is too short. I don't think anybody will read through that. So nobody's going to read through that. So now I want to ask this question, is in regards to brands, should they think about retention at the very first interaction, or they should think about retention after maybe later down the line after they have the customer already, or before they acquire the customer, they should put a structure in place for retention?
Well, I think retention is something that comes from the philosophy and perhaps even the mission statement of an organization, depending upon the size of your company. I mean, obviously, if you're a solo entrepreneur listening, then it's easy to have fully control. But if you have a team under you, I'll give you a good example. We're a team of 6, right? We're not a big team here. And personally, I always get back to people by the end of the day. Every email gets a return, right? That's just how I want to be treated. If somebody emails me, they get back. Now, if they email me after hours, they'll get an email first thing in the morning. But, I train my team to say, listen, if somebody's emailing you, you got to get back to them the same day, and if it's after hours, just make sure you get back to them in the beginning of the next day. Because I've had situations in the past when new people come onto the team that don't do that. They wait a day or two to get back to somebody. And then I would get an email and saying, hey, what's going on, right? Because they're used to me responding quickly. And now they're working with someone else that's not responding as quickly. And so I think it comes down from leadership where, you have to set that precedence for how you're going to be able to have these expectations by a customer. So that has to start before you even get the customer. That has to start before you even get the lead, because you have to bring them through that culture and that process. Does that answer the question? Yeah.
It did answer the question. We've already told people the need for retention, the need for CRM, trying to make sure you retain your customer. You need to learn to upsell and cross-sell and all that. So what CRM platform do you recommend? Because I know you talked about Monday.com is not a CRM platform. So which one would you recommend for small businesses first? For small businesses getting started with automation driven retention strategies.
So, I mean, one that we like for the smaller businesses is Pipedrive, which is a very robust system, low cost. It's under $100 a month. There's information on the Cultivize website about it. There's a video there that we have and some information. There's also a link on our website to get a free trial, of that tool. There's other tools like it. But at the end of the day, Jay, I always be careful when I get asked that question. And I'll give some other examples because one piece of software that's good for you may not be good for me, even though we have the same business, right? Because it really comes down to so many details within an organization to figure out what the right software is. And so there's actually a guide that we have. It's called the Ultimate CRM Research Guide. And it doesn't go into specifically CRM software by name, but what it does is it tells you here's all the things to look for when you're doing your research. Here's the questions to ask when you're doing a demo. Here's the important things that you need to figure out before you make a decision. So Pipedrive is one. The other tool for small businesses, a tool we created called Profit Path, which I mentioned. There's no subscription to that one. It's just one time, $50. We make it really easy. And it's a whole series of really beautifully designed interconnected spreadsheets, like I said, that make things really easy for people that are not super technically sufficient and also just need something very simple, but yet capable of keeping track of things. And then we step up from there. Two that we do a lot of, that we're certified with and we do a lot of work on is HubSpot, which most people know about. HubSpot, again, it's not the perfect fit for every business, but for a lot of businesses, it's a really great, capable tool. Another one that we really love that we've been working with for over 15 years used to be called Sharp Spring. They got bought 3 years ago by Constant Contact. So now Constant Contact, which a lot of people already knows them, it's not the email marketing tool. They have their own separate CRM system now, which does the email marketing, it does the CRM, it does the sales, everything there. So that's another great product that's a little bit less expensive than HubSpot and a little bit more user friendly too. So those would be three that I would just, or four that I would just throw out there today for purposes of discussing, different options.
All right, thank you. So do you know about the Zoho,
Mm-hmm.
the Zoho CRM?
I do.
Do you think that qualifies for a proper CRM?
I personally don't like it for the reason I think they have really bad support. I've just had, what I find is the lower cost the CRM, the support tends to decline like a downward roller coaster. So, if you're using a piece of software, you need to make sure that you can get on the phone with somebody to support, be on a Zoom call for support, answers that, within an hour or two or the same day. They have just had a really bad history of not having good support. So that's why I don't like the product. I know people that love the product, but if you're not a wizard when it comes to technology and software, and you think you're going to need support, which most people do, then I would say it's probably not one of the better ones to look at.
Thank you.
Only for that reason. Not saying it's not capable. Yeah.
Only support.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The software is nice, but I know they need a lot of they need to do a whole lot to push it up because I know they are doing a lot, and I don't think they're based off of America. I think they're based in India or something.
Yeah, and it's not very
I think
user
so.
friendly, the platform. So if you're not like a very kind of easy to adapt to new technology, and there might be a steep learning curve, as well.
Yeah.
So again, that's why I'm saying like price point, is always the thing, and people always say, "Oh yeah, but it's only like I just spoke right before this, Jay. I just spoke to somebody who was looking. He's a one man show in the pharmaceutical industry. He sells things that are very expensive into pharmaceuticals, so he doesn't need anything complex. I spoke to him today. We had a conversation a couple weeks ago. He's like, I just signed up for like the $50 a month Salesforce tool. I was like, well, why'd you do that? Salesforce is like for like, like even their $50 tool isn't what you really need, like it's gonna be too complex. And I was like, well, what are you gonna do about email? He's like, well, oh, and then he like didn't realize that Salesforce didn't offer email marketing. So now he needs to find another piece of software to connect in, and so it gets more complicated. So here he is going to Salesforce, it's a familiar name, and he's comfortable with the brand, but it's really not going to bring him the value and service, and tools that he needs to make his life easy.
All right. Thank you so much. So now, are there any books, resources or thought leaders you suggest our listeners wanting to deepen their knowledge on this topic about retention revolution
Mhm.
that they can, check out?
Yeah, so I would say the best place to go is to go to afterthelead.com. I've been on, dozens and dozens of podcasts. I mean, it's close to probably 100 at this point. So there's a lot of content there to listen to about all different topics. There's also a lot of, as I said, free downloads on our on the afterthelead.com, on the Cultivize website, and you'll find also lots of articles and other content. I've made a lot of mistakes just like everybody has, right? So you learn from what works, what doesn't work, and I've compiled all that information into what we call the CRM hub, which is on the Cultivize website, which is all completely free.
Knowledge is king. So you want to have knowledge. So don't just come on this show to just listen to the show only. You need to, there are a lot of resources that have been provided to you that you need to go check out. Just make sure you go to the website right now. As we're speaking, if you're not driving, just check out the website and see, read more about it. It's free, right? Yeah, it's free for them to watch the
It's
videos, right?
there, and like I said, we try to make the content in multiple formats. So there's audio content, there's articles you can read, there's video content. So whatever you like, whatever your flavor is.
Try as much as possible. Check out the website and you can, get all the information you need. Yeah. And if you're making millions of dollars, more like tens of millions of dollars a month, still need to check it out.
Even if you already have a CRM software, it doesn't mean it might be doing amazing things for your business, but it may not be. So one things we can do is we can also do an audit. So even if you're using a CRM, feel free to reach out to me. And, there's some specific questions that I can give you to ask your team to make sure that it's giving you the reporting you're looking for, that they're using it, that they're logging in, that they're doing all the things you expect them to do. Because just because you have the tool, we've seen plenty of businesses that are spending a lot of money on software that aren't even leveraging it or using it at all.
All right. Thank you so much. So how do you see conversational AI tool like, ChatGPT, I think DeepSeek? Yeah, DeepSeek.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are quite a number of them. Is it Grok or
Yeah,
Grook?
there are.
Yeah. So how do you see those tools, like all those AI tools, integrating into CRM and also
Mm-hmm.
helping retention strategy moving forward?
So I think that AI is going to, and it's already, but doing it. But I see it being a huge pivotal role in reporting. I'm being able to synthesize data and to collect that data. A really quick example: a few clients we have in manufacturing recently reached out to me, and they're like, "Hey, we're traveling to this specific area. We want to sort of like reach out to the prospects and customers we have in that area. How can we find all those people in the CRM?" Well, we can take all the data, right, based on zip code and addresses, put it into something like ChatGPT, and say, plot all these people on a map that are in this state and show me where they are. There's other ways we could say, now build me a driving route. What's the best route to drive, in the most economical sense to go visit all these people? Like so AI can do a lot of powerful things. On the side of the sales side, one thing that I use AI for, which I think is great, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. And what I found that I don't have the time to, or didn't have the time to do, was really to look through all the people that are my first tier connections that are posting content, and think of something thoughtful, right, to post and comment on their content. There's a great tool I use called Evi AI, which allows me to build a persona for myself and for the business. So I'm Jason Kramer. I'm a father. I have children. These are my hobbies. This is what I like. This is my personality. This is the way I talk. This is my, all these things. And then what the tool does is I can go one by one. It'll show me all the people that commented, right? Or sorry, that posted in the last 24 hours on LinkedIn that are connected to me. And then I can decide who I want to comment on. And all I do is I click on that comment box and AI generates a thoughtful content for me. It scans the whole article, right? Uses the way that I talk, right, to formulate something that I would say as it relates to my world of CRM. And it does it within a second, right? And now I can spend an hour and comment on like 30 different things. Whereas before it might take me an hour to do like comment on 2 or 3 things, right? And so I think AI is really going to help with people engaging, but you have to be mindful. Again, Jay, these are tools, right? And so, like anything, if you have the sort of bad attitude behind the steering wheel and you're using it in a non either ethical way, or you're not using it with good intentions, then it could have a damaging effect too, right? And it may not work and may not help you. So I guess the short answer is AI is extremely powerful. It's just you want to have a specific method and process for how you want to use it. Just don't use it sort of randomly. But I will say one thing about ChatGPT aside from business. I don't know if you ever tried this, Jay. ChatGPT has great recipes. I'm like, I love to cook, and
Yeah,
I've used ChatGPT to I already know like my steaks or my hamburgers and certain things I make are delicious. But I'm like, how could I make this like a restaurant quality dish, you know? And like it gives me back like just some. And I've never been disappointed with any recipe I've gotten from ChatGPT, which are way
yeah,
better than anything I found online anywhere else.
of course. The
Yeah,
future is here. So
yeah,
everybody knows everything, especially when
exactly.
it comes to cooking. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna try that out. I've not tried that. I've tried ChatGPT with a lot of things, but not with that. I'm gonna try it out and see what
Yeah, you
it can
should. If
help me
you like
with.
to cook, it's great. I mean, and the other thing you could do is you could even say like, I want to make this dish, but I want to exclude dairy, or I'm allergic to
Mm,
this. You know, what is a substitute? Or I don't have the
mm.
spice, and it'll make recommendations based on what it is you want to make.
And the powerful thing is the fact that it answers you in less than a second,
Yes,
or maybe less than a minute, or even
right.
lesser than that.
Yeah.
And you get information and you do whatever you need to do. So,
Hmm.
thank you for the information you provided. We have had a lot of, we discussed a lot of things. We still have a lot we're going to discuss, and I would love to have you on the show again so we can discuss more in depthly, especially about this topic and also a marketing related topic. So now, what's one piece of advice you would give to a business owner or marketer looking to transform their customer retention game starting from today?
So the one piece of advice I would give is if you don't already have a defined sales process for your company, today's the day to build the process. And how does that work? You think, okay, well, if the phone rings or if somebody fills out a form on our website or we meet that person, what's the first thing that happens? What information do we collect? What information do we share? Right? What's the second thing that happens? Do we create a proposal? Do we do a demo? Okay, that's done. Now what's the third thing that happens? And what you want to do is you want to build a plan, a visual plan on a piece of paper saying, here's your funnel, right? Here's your sales process. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, etc. You might only have 3 stages. You might have 15 stages. A lot of companies, Jay, surprisingly, even if they're a multi-million dollar business, do not have a written down defined sales process, which is shocking, right? I mean, it's not shocking, right? Because it's the way things work in this world, but you can't scale and grow something if you don't have a process. And so that would be my one piece of advice today is if you don't have a um, consistent way that you are dealing with your leads, that you're following up with them, that you're bringing people through your sales process, and it's kind of willy-nilly, it's a little bit all over the place and it's a little different each time. If your messaging is different each time, if you don't always send the same exact email to everybody, right? Maybe you tweak it, of course, but how are you going to know if your email is effective or not? How are you going to know if your communication style is effective? And so you need to have that consistency to really track to see what's working and what's not working. And I will tell you that I'm sure that more than 50% of the listeners today do not have a sales process written down. Statistically, it's just the way it is. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing in the sense that, it's, your business isn't successful. Obviously it is, but it's hindering your growth. And that's the advice I think that everybody could certainly apply today, regardless of your size of your business or your situation.
All right, no problem. Thank you so much for that advice. So you've gotten that advice, now you need to work towards it. Don't just
Yes.
sit down there and just listen to this show and just treat it like every other conversation you heard. This is a life changer for you. If you're a business owner, you need to understand the concept of retention. So if you need more information about this topic, you can reach out to Jason. Let me ask, where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about the services you offer?
So the best place, Jay, is to go to afterthelead.com. So that's just how it sounds, afterthelead.com. On there, they'll also be able to connect with me on LinkedIn, follow us on YouTube. So all of our social channels are there. You can look up Cultivize, certainly online and find us on all the social platforms, find us on Spotify as well. But that would be the easiest place is afterthelead.com. Everything is one click away from that webpage.
Hey, winners, as we continue our journey together today, I want to share something truly special with you. Over the years, I've had the privilege of coaching countless business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, guiding them to achieve breakthrough results and unlocking their full potential. So I'm opening up just 4 slots for my monthly business coaching program. That's right, 4 slots. After being fully booked for the past 3 years, if you're ready to elevate your business, with personalized guidance, proven strategy, and a supportive community. I'm here to help you navigate challenges, refine your vision, and achieve your goals. So if you're committed to taking your business to the next level, I want to hear from you. Reach out to me directly at jay at winnercirclewithj.com and discuss how we can work together to build the future your business deserves. So don't wait. This is your moment. Join Winner Circle and let's embark on this transformative journey towards success together. And now let's dive back into today's episode. All right, thank you so much.
Yeah,
So
my pleasure.
Yeah, so for the listeners, you already know how we work here at the Winner Circle. It's not just about listening, it's about action. So you can listen to this show over and over again. If you don't take that bold step today, you are losing out. I also want to let you know that if today's conversation sparked ideas for your business, so it's time to take action. You need to implement. You understand how Winner Circle is all about? Implementation. So you need to implement it, not tomorrow, today, this week. You need to improve your customer retention strategy. If you have any question, especially about this topic, Jason is here, provided information of how you can reach out to him. So you can reach out to him, and he's a consultant, and you can take it from there. Then he will help you navigate that tough space, especially when it comes to CRM. So, and don't forget to subscribe to the Winner Circle podcast for more conversation like this, because our goal is to help you level up and also lead with intention and win big in business, and not just all about business. We want you to win in life. So I want to say a huge thank you to Jason Kramer for joining us today and sharing a very valuable insight on using CRM and automation to build a long-term customer loyalty space. I want you to remember, customer retention isn't just an afterthought. It's a competitive advantage. So if you found this conversation valuable today, make sure you share this video or share the audio with somebody, let them listen to it. And until next time, I want you to keep refining your systems and deepening your customer connection. And as always, stay in the winner circle. And before we go, do you have anything you want to say, Jason, before we go out?
No, all I want to say is that, there's no time better now than to change, right? I mean, we're still in the early start of the year. And so, looking back, seeing how last year was, every business wants to keep growing and moving things forward. And so, I would just say, like you just said, Jay, it's one thing to absorb the information. It's another thing to do something with the information. And so I think, putting it into place, you don't have to change everything overnight, but coming up with a plan, I think, is definitely something that every business should be thinking about and reevaluating the plan. You may have a plan, but how does it work? Is it giving you the results you're looking for? And so, a lot of companies just put something into motion, they don't check on it. So, that would be the thing I would leave everybody with today is, if you're doing a monthly newsletter, how is it working? Is it bringing you new business? If you're doing advertising, how is it working? If you're doing webinars, if you're doing trade shows, if you, have a sales team of 5, 10, 20 people, how are they doing, right? So, what is the conversions? All these things are important to track in a business. And I think a lot of companies sometimes just miss those small indicators that they're unaware of, that they don't know if something's working or not. They just assume that everything is working. And that's like the worst thing you could do as a business owner, is just assume everything is working because you're making money. But there could be problems hidden beneath the surface.
All right. So don't just assume that everything is working. Make sure you check out everything to be sure your business is working and you're not losing customers, not unknowingly. So that's it for today. We've spent almost an hour, and it felt like we should go 2 hours. But I know you guys are like, oh, Jay, you told us just 30 minutes to an hour. So, but till next time, I'm going to bring Jason back and we can talk more, especially on CRM. All right. See you guys. Bye.